Welcome back to America Decides. The fate of a House Ethics Committee report on Matt Gaetz was already uncertain even before the president-elect's former attorney general pick withdrew from consideration Thursday. The panel, the House Ethics Committee, did not reach an agreement to make it public yesterday. Members expected to meet again on December 5th at the committee to discuss whether to release the findings of their investigation. But the Republican chair of the House panel said today the report should not come out.
I think that this should end the discussion of whether or not the Ethics Committee should continue to move forward in this matter. He has withdrawn his nomination. He is no longer a member of Congress. And so I think that this settles any involvement that the Ethics Committee should have in any matters involving Mr. Gaetz.
Maryland Democratic Congressman Glenn Ivey joins us now. He, too, was a member of the House Ethics Committee. Mr. Ivey, we always appreciate your time. You mentioned yesterday as you walked into the hearing that you do acknowledge the Senate would have some interest in reading this House Ethics Committee report that's been produced. Does anything change now that Matt Gaetz has stood down from being a nominee?
Well, potentially, he might continue to pursue other offices. For example, he is still the congressman-elect to his seat in Florida. I know he stated that he wasn't going to seek to fill that seat, but that was while his nomination for attorney general was still pending. I don't know what the final position will be on that. There are other possibilities, too. I know Marco Rubio has been nominated to be part of the Trump administration cabinet. It could be that Gaetz could be eligible or, in line potentially to fill the rest of Marco Rubio's term. And I've also seen conversations about him potentially pursuing the governor's race in Florida in 2026. So certainly the possibilities of him seeking other public office is still out there.
Yeah, I want to make sure I get that clear, Congressman. The prospect of Mr. Gaetz trying to return to the House in a seat he won in November, or perhaps being appointed to a Senate seat, you're arguing that makes the committee's work more worthy of release to the public?
Well, I think it's up to the committee to decide that. I'm a little surprised the chairman made the statement that you just played, but because there is precedent for the House Ethics Committee releasing reports even after an individual has left Congress for whatever reason. So the fact that he's not a member of Congress anymore and not a nominee anymore does not mean that the House committee cannot release the report.
No, there's very limited things you can say about what happens behind those doors at the House Ethics Committee by necessity, but the chair did announce, and the ranking member did acknowledge, I believe, a December 5th meeting when you will come back from the Thanksgiving time away from Washington. Anything you can do in terms of setting expectations? Is that a normal meeting? Is that a meeting to follow up on yesterday? Is there something in between?
There hasn't been much normal involved with this process since the Gaetz nomination was announced. So I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen on December 5th, but I look forward to the committee coming back together. We have had some good history working together in this Congress. The Santos process and the report we issued there, I thought was really outstanding work, especially by the staff. The staff's been complimented on their work in this and other matters as well. So I think we can do good work, and I think we play an important role for the House, and I look forward to us getting back to work.
There were these two members of the House Democratic Caucus who, on Wednesday, talked about this effort to force a House vote to get some of this or all of this released publicly. I suspect they may have asked your opinion on this as a Democrat on the panel. What would you tell them?
Well, I think, those were aimed at, forcing votes for public release of the documents. And I haven't really had much of a conversation with them on that front. And certainly, the circumstances have changed in the last few hours. But, when we come back, they'll have the option of reintroducing that. And depending on how it's done, it could force a vote on the floor within 48 hours, either or both of them. So I think we'll have to see how that plays out when we get back.
Is that a good idea? It seemed to be another one of those not normal things, but we're not in normal times.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think, I'm I think there are a variety of options that are open to the House at this point. Certainly, the House floor vote is one, and that would show the will of the entire House if we go forward with that. The House Ethics Committee making a decision could be relevant too. It could be that the House Ethics Committee makes a decision, and based on what we do or do not do, you can still have the floor vote on the House resolutions. So there's a variety of ways this could play out, and I'm not necessarily pushing for one way or the other, but I am anxious to see how it moves forward.
We have just a moment left, Congressman. Can you explain to folks not familiar with the House Committee on Ethics why it operates the way it operates? Obviously, there's a lot of secrecy to it. There's also that even party split. Why is it designed to, what appears to be, set itself up for sometimes an impasse on a charged issue?
Well, it is set up so that you have 5 from the Republicans and 5 from the Democrats, and that's so that you have it be more bipartisan or hopefully nonpartisan than a regular committee would be, where the majority party has more members and can have party line votes to get something out of the committee and passed in that way. And I think it's a good idea to try and have some degree of bipartisanism as we move forward with these kinds of investigations, and especially if sanctions are imposed against a member. But it is sort of like a grand jury in that there's a lot of confidentiality and secrecy connected with that. And I know sometimes it can take a long time to get these things done. And the public gets frustrated with that. Some of my colleagues get frustrated with that too. But sometimes it's better to do it the right way than necessarily in a fast way. So it's a challenge, but I think it's the best way that we can go forward and preserve to some degree a nonpartisan or at least bipartisan approach to handling these matters.
Glenn Ivey, who emerged uninjured from walking through 200 reporters and cameras outside the ethics hearing yesterday. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.